9. So, what?
So do you know what I always think in my head when we're doing that? Do you remember when
What?
I don't know, maybe only my grandma did it, but she would sing that song like 1, 2, buckle my shoe, 3, 4, shut the door, 5, 6, pick up. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
So every time we're counting it, that's what's going on in my head.
Yeah.
7, 8,
that didn't isn't that Freddy Krueger's rhyme?
Oh God, I don't know.
1, 2, Freddy's coming for you.
Oh, well, that ruined that for me.
Your grandma's a little creepy. That's all right. That's where you got it.
She was fun.
Oh man. So are you ready? I think next week you're gonna look like me when we do this.
Oh yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, you're gonna look all professional and shit.
So
yeah,
headphones.
You're getting some you're getting an upgrade, so that'll be cool. Yes. I'm excited about that. Big changes here at HMP.
Woo-hoo.
This is the Higher Minds Podcast. I'm Papa Darby.
And I'm Katie.
Hi everybody.
Hi. Welcome.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
It'll be good.
We got the new logo. We got the endorsements. This episode is kind of, I don't know. We did a lot of work on this.
Yeah.
There's
a lot to it.
I'm looking forward to seeing how this one turns out. How this one's received.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of
what
stances right now, so it will be interesting.
I think there's pretty much one.
Well, hopefully.
Maybe 2. But that reminds me, have you ever been on a date at a library?
No, I haven't.
Guys never ever taken you to one?
No.
Apparently it works.
Ooh.
Because apparently at the Walla Walla Public Library, they found 30-year-old can of beer and gum in their library. That sounds totally teenage. Beer and gum?
That's sounds
That's
like breaking
totally
2 big rules
teenage.
of the library.
It does, but it sounds pretty awesome. So, from UPI.com, a Washington State Library's mystery section was found to contain a real-life enigma when removing a corner panel revealed a stash of beer and chewing gum from the 1980s. What the fuck? The Walla Walla Public Library said employees have been performing renovations at the facility during the COVID-19 shutdown, and they recently removed a corner panel from the shelf housing the mysterious mystery book section and found a disintegrated paper bag containing 5 unopened cans of Haim's beer and unopened pack of Godzilla Heads gum.
Ooh.
So apparently that date went well.
Because they only drank
one beer was gone. She drank it and she was like, "Oh, beer gets me so horny." And he's like, "Yeah, me too." They didn't even get into the gum. They didn't care. He didn't brush his teeth at night. That's why he brought the gum.
Wow.
So, that is awesome.
That's
Go
funny.
whoever did that. I hope they drank it.
Walla Walla. That was a cool
What do you think
name.
a beer tastes like now? Walla Walla, Washington?
Walla Walla.
Yeah. Walla
I just like to say it. It also reminds me of that like old Nick Jr. show. What was it called? Yeah, the frog. Gullah Gullah's Island. Gullah Gullah.
Oh, it's a little too young for me.
Let's play together.
I think Walla Walla was probably named by an Australian guy. Walla Walla.
Library. I'm done.
Right up top, though, since this is such a serious topic, I wanted to cite my sources. So I got my information from sitenet.apa.org, youtube.com, aifs.gov.au, wikipedia.org, youtube.com, The Wendy Williams Show, and Sway in the Morning.
Yes.
Thank you guys for your content.
It's true.
Yeah, so the creator of Rick and Morty is in some hot shit. Have you heard about this?
I had not.
Yeah, I had no idea. I don't watch Rick and Morty. I've been told that I would enjoy it.
I've been told the same, but I have never seen it either.
Me either. And I think maybe there might be a reason why that deep down we knew that this weird creepo, like, I guess you haven't seen the video, right?
No, I got about 15 seconds in and was bawling, and I was like, nope, gotta go.
So this, I forget the guy's name. Just Google creator Rick and Morty. I guess 10, 20 years ago or something, he made a sketch for Showtime where he babysits his his friend asks him to watch his kid, and then at night he sneaks into his room and like rapes this baby doll, like, and it has sounds and shit too, like crying sounds, and they like, and I don't mean to be, I don't want to get too. I'm not getting graphic for the sake of getting graphic. I'm getting graphic for the weight of this fucking sketch, but the sounds in it, it was baby cries, and the baby cries were like pulsing as he was thrusting into the fucking baby doll. It was disgusting. It was extremely disturbing. It was not funny. I don't know what the fuck this motherfucker was thinking. I do like comedy for, you know, I like free speech and comedy. That was just a sick fantasy scenario role playing. That was not fucking comedy. That was gross.
No.
It was not funny. There was no joke in it.
Yeah, I didn't find it funny. Ugh.
No. But that leads us into our... Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, this is all just extra... I mean, as a parent, but I have 2 young boys, and I just... Instantly, that's all I can think about, and I just get racked about it, and I'm like, nope. And that's why I'm a helicopter mom. You know what I mean?
Oh, I totally know what you mean. My kids are a little older, and that fear doesn't go away.
Yeah.
I mean, I listen to a lot of true crime, and like some of the fucked up shit that people do, especially to kids, is terrifying.
Yeah.
And I absolutely get it. Which leads into what our topic is today, which is Corey Feldman.
Corey Feldman.
He's
a lost boy.
He's made some accusations a lot. Some large accusations lately. Actually, for most of his adult life, I think
he's been a long time.
Yeah. And just recently with Weinstein and Lolita Island and this shit, his accusations are now finally getting some light and some media. Yeah. Yes. And we're here. Today I want to talk about that and why it's just now coming to light and explain Corey himself as much as we can. He's not, so we watched his new documentary. Or we watched part of it. How much did you get into? I didn't watch.
I missed the last 20 minutes.
I watched maybe the first third. Okay. He's not a likable guy. Like, I don't like listening to Corey Feldman's interviews. He doesn't seem fun at parties. He seems obnoxious and a lot to deal with. And just not somebody that... personality. He's off-putting. Yeah.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Don't dislike him as much as you throughout this, but he's very cringeworthy for sure.
Yeah.
So,
and it's cringeworthy in the way that when you see an adult being a theater kid, and that's what he is, and it's kind of his problem. He's kind of stuck in this adolescent theater kid persona, and we'll get into why. There is a reason, and I feel for him. I feel bad for him.
Yeah, it's very tragic.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's not his fault for being dislikable. And I mean, he obviously has friends and the people do like him and he has value and everything like that. I'm not saying he's not a valuable person. He's not my energy is what it is.
There you go.
But there's a reason for that. And I kind of, I just kind of want to explain it.
Yeah. So, wow. Corey.
So child abuse has long-lasting effects on brain and neurobiology. Animal studies document that early stressors result in long-term effects on the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis and neurochemical systems. Brain areas implicated in the stress response include the hippocampus, medial prefrontal cortex, and amygdala. Studies in children and adults with a history of childhood abuse show long-term alterations in the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis and norepinephrine. I didn't practice all of this. And norepinephrine systems. Functional brain imaging studies in adults with early abuse show dysfunction in medial and dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, hippocampus, and amygdala. Structural brain imaging studies show hippocampal volume reduction in adults with chronic post-traumatic stress disorder from early abuse, but not in children, which suggests that chronicity of illness and developmental epoch play a role in biological findings in abuse-related post-traumatic stress disorder. The age and development stage at which maltreatment occurs, some evidence suggests that the younger the child was at the time of the onset of the maltreatment, the more likely they are to experience problems later in life. The severity of these factors are the severity of maltreatment, the greater the severity of abuse or neglect, the higher likelihood of negative outcomes. The types of abuse and or neglect, different subtypes of maltreatment may be related to different negative outcomes. The victim or survivor's perception of the abuse. Worse outcomes are likely if there is the victim survivor experience feelings of self-blame, shame, or stigmatization. The relationship with the victim or survivor had or has with the perpetrator. For example, in child sexual abuse, increased negative effects tend to be associated with the perpetrator being a father figure, or someone with whom the child has an intense emotional relationship. Whether the abuse or neglect was detected and action was taken to assure the safety of the child, e.g. child protection intervention. Positive or protective factors that may have mitigated the effects of maltreatment, such as family support, perpetrator readiness for change, and whether the victim survivor received therapeutic services to assist them in recovery. Tell us about Corey Haim.
Okay. Well, Corey Haim.
No, Corey Feldman. So Corey Haim, those are the two Coreys. We probably should have said that up top. Those are the two Coreys, and in his documentary, Corey Feldman is telling Corey Haim's story.
And his own.
In such a way that we'll discuss later.
Also
yeah.
Haim's. So, okay, Corey Feldman, born in California, July.
Actually, before we get into that, sorry.
No.
We watched Lost Boys today.
Yes, we did.
And looking at that, what do you think of that movie looking through 2020 lens?
Well, it was a little easier for me to look through it because I'd never seen it before.
Oh, that's true. That's very interesting. Like, I grew up with the movie. I love the movie.
Yes.
I'm the one that suggested we watched for research.
Yeah.
But go ahead. How did you view it through 2020?
I didn't even know what the premise of the movie was. Off the bat,
yeah.
What I realized as far as red flags for me was Corey Haim is the prettiest of the Coreys, if I don't say so myself. And they really...
I mean, he's an attractive little kid.
Yeah.
And that's why he was a movie star.
Yeah, and that's how he got his career. He was he had, poster of a girl.
I don't mean sexually attractive. Like, I want to make that clear.
Yeah.
Neither of us, both of us are like horribly, we abhor everything about this subject.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes.
That being said, I don't mean sexually attractive, but he's pretty.
He's a cute kid. He's a cute kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So in his room, poster of what was the guy? Who was the guy? I already forget who it was.
It was Rob Lowe.
Rob Lowe. Okay.
With like his shirt unbuttoned, sweaty six-pack.
Yeah, seductive.
Yeah.
He was dressed in like girls' clothes, it felt like a couple times. possibly not, but felt like it.
Well, there was that one shirt he was wearing that said "Born to Shop." Remember, he pointed that out.
Yes, and the shirt where like the little stick figures look like they were touching their private parts.
Oh, that was weird. We should post a picture of that scene.
Yeah, for sure.
Like that shirt. That's weird.
That was definitely weird. And
but that "Born to Shop" shirt implies the ability to be bought.
Yes.
Like, given favors.
Also, the little boy. The whole entire time I could not figure out what the little boy down in their hotel.
The little half vampire kid?
Yeah. Was that the half vampire's kid? Or they were just like...
No. They're
together?
So throughout the I forget what the hero's name was, the older brother, but he drank some vampire blood and to finish out his transformation into being a vampire, he has to feed off of a live human.
Yeah.
They were in the same position, the girl and the little boy.
They didn't do it.
They hadn't done it yet.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I didn't feel like a little boy was necessary in the movie. Long story short.
No, it was weird. So this gang...
That was another thing.
Yeah, this gang has this slave chick, and the slave little boy just hanging around.
Yes, weird. So yeah, a couple weird oddball things. So... Well,
and Corey Haim, he's in his bed a lot.
Yeah.
And then there was that bath scene with him, too.
Yes. Yeah. Just as for... maybe just knowing what I know, it's hard. It was hard for me to watch the first 5-10 minutes before I could get out of my head and just try and enjoy the movie. Knowing what was going on to him in that moment in his real life,
on that set, exactly.
On that set, by people who were supposed to be caring for him.
I used to like that old grandpa guy. I always thought of him as a kindly old grandpa guy. Now maybe he didn't. I'm not saying he did. I'm not
from my
accusing anybody of anything. I wasn't there, but
at that point in his life, it was mainly the men who were put in place to like drive him where he needed to go, be his caretaker, self-signed, meeting. It was that managers that were starting this kind of grooming and abuse,
and it looked like
and normalizing it, making it seem like, oh, it's the boys' club. This is what we do, like.
And that's kind of what they said to him. And
exactly
like it seemed like an elaborate, well thought out, well planned, well funded.
Because it's been going on for a long time, if you ask me.
Yes. So that being said, I just wanted to point that out. Please continue. Tell us about Mr. Feldman.
Okay, so born in California, July 16th, 1971, to Bob and Sheila Feldman. He started acting at the age of 3 in McDonald's commercials. He appeared in over 100 television commercials and 50 television series like The Bad News Bears, Mork and Mindy, 8 is Enough, One Day at a Time, Cheers, all some classics.
You're missing Stand By Me, Lost Boys 2.
Well, those are movies. These were shows.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so just kidding.
Shut up, Darby.
He was also in The Fox and the Hound, so I love that one. And there was a couple things I didn't realize he was in. Yeah. So Disney's Fox and the Hound. You mean
Disney's? Was that Disney?
Yeah.
Who did he play? Was he the fox or the hound?
No, I don't remember. I was just impressed by it.
No.
I was like literally I put the stats of how many movies this dude has been in, how many TV shows, it's staggering. He is a busy fella. So he was also in NBC's musical comedy How to Eat Like Children. Do you know that show? Have you heard of it?
How to Eat Like Children?
Yes, it says NBC's musical comedy. But I was looking up so many videos and I meant to look back and I'm like, well, that sounds creepy and innuendo-y. Like, I meant to watch like clips from it. I still want to, because if it's weird, I'm going to share it with you guys.
I mean, we're probably totally reading into that, but still
weird. 2020, we read into everything. So his teen years, he went from, this immediate child star to being in several high-grossing movies, including Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter, Gremlins, The Goonies.
I knew that.
The Goonies.
He was in some great shit.
He really was, but always like, I'm just gonna say it now, like, especially in like The Goonies, he's always kind of that like dorky character. That suited his personality and look really well. So
he's got that face, yeah,
a strong face.
His name in The Lost Boys was Edward Frog, so that name suits him. He's froggish looking.
Reptilian. Dare I go there?
Coincidence?
That just popped in my head. I should look into it. Anyway, so of the Coreys, he was like a Corey B.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
he was the one that the chicks went to when Corey Haim's body was full.
Oh boy. So The Last Boys and Stand By Me was, the films that obviously the Coreys worked together in the beginning, which started their brotherhood. And then he also played Donatello's voice in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the live action one.
Oh, yeah.
I did not know that.
No, he was Michelangelo, wasn't he?
No, Donatello. The Lost Boys.
In the first series? Are you really?
The Goonies, River Phoenix, Will Wheaton, Jerry O'Connell. This is when he started working with all these guys. Then he also did License to Drive and Dream a Little Dream. 2 more movies I've never seen. But
I've never seen these.
Dream a Little Dream must have been somewhat good because they made a second one later. So that was, must have been somewhat good. So, jumping into his adult career, if his child and young adult wasn't beefy enough, he had a pretty public battle with drugs that started right after.
But most of them did.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just maybe it was harder to watch because of his like childhood fame and everyone just idolizing and loving them so much. That would have been hard to have. I totally
thought he played Michelangelo.
No, I wrote it down twice. That's why I knew for sure.
Holy shit. I have to go watch that again.
I couldn't remember any of their voices all of a sudden. And so, yeah, I couldn't believe that. I want to watch it too. I should watch it with Ace. He would enjoy that. So, The Burbs, that film in '89, that's when...
oh, yeah, I love that movie.
I've not seen it.
No? Oh, that's a great movie. That has Tom Hanks, too.
Oh. Interesting.
I don't know about that. That accusation popped out of nowhere. I am going to back Tom Hanks until I see some more evidence.
Okay. Awesome.
And Oprah, that was another one that popped up. That one was disproven. Just so you know, Oprah 2020.
Oh. I don't. This isn't about Oprah. I'm gonna keep going. So he, after this public, battle with drugs, he had to kind of fight his way back into reestablishing himself. And he did a lot, working with the youth and a bunch of like lesser known films, like The Return of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and like a Tales of the Crypt movie. I wasn't allowed to watch those as kids. Yeah.
I like those movies.
I wasn't allowed to do Goosebumps either.
Oh.
So that explains a lot. Just kidding.
Oh.
He kept working with his BFF Corey Haim, including Dream a Little Dream 2, in 1990.
Holy shit! Totally sorry. Did you know that Sam Rockwell was in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the first one?
Who that is?
Oh goodness. He's a big. So he played. Oh god, he was in Iron Man 2. He played the other tech guy. God, what was his fucking name?
Honestly, I just need to see a face anyways.
Yeah, but my shit's all rigged up, so I'm not going to turn the phone around. The listeners know who Sam Rockwell is. I'll show you a picture later.
Sorry, I don't. Everybody, don't be offended. So in '96, Feldman directed his first and his only slapstick called Busted that Haim starred in. And that would be the last, like, I think, actual movie that they did together. I went to look up clips of that because when they call something a slapstick, I'm just curious.
I think Leslie Nielsen.
So,
did you ever watch the Lethal Weapon or not Lethal Weapon, Naked Gun movies or Airplane?
Yes.
Yeah,
Airplane. That's a good one. They just had that at the drive-in, and I wanted to go see it so bad. I didn't get around to it.
I would have seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Corey Feldman starred on several shows throughout the late 90s and early 2000s, including CBS's Dweebs. I have no recollection of that show. Do you?
No. It was kind of CBS's answer to Freaks and Geeks.
Freaks and Geeks was good. It was so good. I never watched it. One season. Really? Oh.
I know everybody from it. I'm big fans of all of their later work. I just never watched that show.
That show resonated with me in high school so much. So he was also Fox's Sliders and The Crow, Stairway to Heaven. More shows I didn't watch.
Which was not a good movie.
What movie?
The Crow, great movie. Brandon Lee.
The show, not so much. So
Jesus walks into a hotel. He gives the front desk guy 3 nails and says, "Can you put me up for the night?" Oh, that's from The Crow. Brandon Lee tells that joke.
Corey had
bang, fuck,
Stop it. Corey put out some interesting music during this time too. A total of 5 albums over 94 to 2016.
94 to 16, so that's
so he put out
22 years, 5 albums.
Love Left came out in 94. Still Searching for Soul came out in 99. Former Child Actor came out in 2002. First Glimpse of Heaven came out in 2014, and Angelic to the Core came out in 2016.
What kind of music is it? Is it like John Teshi?
What kind of music is it? I watched several videos. Some of it was like the Angelic to the Core. I made note of an actual song title at the end here. Wow. I don't know what to say about it. He came out in like all black with a hood up over his head. And it was Corey's Angels was the band playing. And he had some like weird interpretive dance kind of thing intro. And then he started singing. If it was on mute, you would think it was like hardcore music, like screamo music, maybe, by the way he looked and like kind of danced around the microphone. But then when you turn it on, it was like, what do you want to call that?
You're killing us. You haven't said what kind of music it is yet.
I don't know how to describe it. It's just like poppy.
Is it classical? Is it?
No, it's like poppy.
Like BTS? Is it K-pop?
Not quite. Like indie pop done by someone who doesn't have a lot of friends and hangs out in his mom's basement. I don't know how to describe it. I'm doing my best job.
Wow. That was a description. That was a description of his soul. God damn. That wasn't the music. You were like dug deep there. Jesus fuck.
I've done a lot of research.
Nobody likes him. He really is thinking about cutting his wrists, but he doesn't want to do that. He knows the bullet's a lot quicker, but he doesn't have a gun. It's fucking California.
Some of it was so laughable, and some of it was just devastating because you know there's been abuse there. It's clear as day.
Right.
But
and everybody, make your art. Don't be ashamed of your art.
Yes,
dance like nobody's watching. I know Ellen DeGeneres is asshole and stuff, but everybody, if you have art in you, do it. Don't give a fuck what any asshole says about it like we are about Corey Feldman.
Yeah.
He deserves to have his art out there too.
Yes.
Please continue.
Yes. He was also...
But I'm sure it's not tolerable.
It was brutal. I didn't... the only one I listened to the whole thing was that video because I couldn't stop looking. It was a train wreck. He cameoed in quite a handful of music videos too. Newfound Glory, Hit or Miss, Moby's We Were All Made of Stars, Neon Trees, 1983, Katy Perry, Last Friday Night, Mac Miller, SDS, and 30 Seconds to Mars, City of Angels.
I knew almost all of those people.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I like 30 Seconds to Mars.
Who didn't you know? Neon Trees?
The second to the last one. Mac something?
Oh, Mac Miller. He's the one that just died. He's
he
in
did?
the...
R.I.P.
It's the guy with all the face tattoos. Post Malone. He's like that grouping of people, I think.
I barely know who Post Malone is.
I only know him because he looks like a ragamuffin with face tattoos, but he's very endearing.
My daughter likes Bits. BTS.
Oh, here's where I jotted down just some totals because I had space on this piece of paper and I wanted to write it down. So in total, 67 movies, 5 like shorts, little short films, 3 video games, 39 shows, 5 albums,
and 5
and
shorts.
a memoir.
Like that's his wardrobe as well.
Yeah,
5 shorts.
Like,
he's got 2 pairs of shoes and a shirt.
It all looks like Michael Jackson.
One glove. Actually, he's got like 20 gloves, but they're all the left hand.
Goodness. But that's a pretty impressive list. That's some numbers.
Yeah,
that's some numbers there.
That's more movies than I've done.
Me too. 2003, he appeared on the first of the celebrity-styled reality shows. And this one was called The Surreal Life. And on this one, he had a very public marriage to his second wife, Susie Sprague. Is that how you say it? Do you know? I don't know.
Sprague?
Sprague. I really don't know.
How do you spell it?
Sprague.
Yeah, I'd say that's Sprague.
Okay. So Susie was the one. I only mention her because in some of this later with Corey Haim, she's kind of who verifies some of the arguments they had on the show and this, that, and the other. He was married 3 times, divorced twice, and he's still married. So doing a series of movies and shows in the late 2000s, he was in Dickie Roberts' Former Child Star with David Spade. And then he did some like sci-fi stuff and like an off-Broadway play that was like a parody of Fatal Attraction. That might be good. Might be awful. Hard to say. So, 2007, the Coreys started a scripted version of a reality show called The Two Coreys that was on the A&E network.
I remember when that came out.
When I was watching
I kind of wanted to watch it at the time.
Did you?
I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't. I feel like, what year did I just say it was? Yeah, I wasn't.
What year did you say it
about
was?
to care. So, the show kind of made it in the clips I was watching, made it seem like Haim was kind of like there living with Feldman and his wife because of his like drug addiction, but they very clearly said on that Opie and Anthony show. I watched that video on YouTube. I ended up watching the whole thing because like it was wrong, but I couldn't stop laughing at some of it. But
Opie and Anthony are really entertaining. I like listening to them.
I did not know them. I don't know who they are, but
I used to listen to them in high school.
Oh, really? They've been around that long?
Yeah.
Just kidding. You're so old.
87 years.
So they very clearly on that show said that was not the case. He was there. The show was scripted because they didn't want to film them for like a year before they got any good material. So it was scripted enough to bring out the drama and bring out like scripted that he lives there because of this problem, but that wasn't the truth. He was living there for this show, is what he said.
Although it turns out he had a problem.
Yes. He did.
Spoiler alert.
Supposedly, he was done. He was clean. But he also, on that show, wouldn't come out and say, because he was like, oh, congratulations, how long have you been sober? And he's like, that's private. And nothing screams, I'm not. Like, I don't want to tell you how long I have been sober.
I'm not sober right now.
It didn't sound like it.
Actually, that's kind of true for me, too. I'm smoking a bowl.
This interview, I was going to try not to talk about it so much, but it was insane. The Coreys and Susie get on and just start blabbering on about nothing, and they were there to kind of promote this show and his music, and they got on and say, don't believe everything you see on TV, and it's it's not, this art isn't even true. Like, they just did a terrible job promoting the show. And they finally, go off and they're signing interviews off to the side. And the guys are like on the mic, like, wow, that was awful. Let's never do this again. Like, they lit them up. And he's like, oh, he forgot about the music video. Does that mean we don't have to play it? Like, and they're just going on and on and on. And then the Coreys can hear everything they're saying. Like, bro, we can hear you, right?
You think that was maybe scripted?
I don't know. It felt very real.
So were they on air when they were talking about it? Or was
that
off-air shit?
No, that sounded on. That sounded on for sure. Would they have played it on the... Yeah. And then after they left, like, they signed some stuff and they left, and the show goes on even without them there, and they end up playing his music video. In the first 15 seconds, you can't even hear the music because they're laughing so fucking hard and loud they can't catch their breath.
That's heartbreaking.
But that's how it kind of
Anthony,
feels.
Come on, guys.
Yeah, it was brutal because they were like, we like to rag on people, but we usually like to do it when they're here to, face to face to defend themselves. And so they were going to try not to, but they failed miserably because that's what they did the entire episode. So yeah, that was brutal. But the show made it kind of seem, like Haim was a bigger problem than supposedly he was. And then Feldman was the executive producer. You mean
the Opie and Anthony show made, or their reality show made Haim seem like he was more of a problem than he was?
Yeah. Okay. And Feldman was the executive producer for both seasons. I believe that just had 2 seasons. So that's interesting too. So Haim dies in 2010 of pneumonia, is his actual cause of death. Despite many,
which is different than old pneumonia.
Yeah, the new one. pneumonia, whatever.
Pneumonia, old pneumonia. Never mind.
Yes, I get it. But there's a lot of speculation and rumor that he died of overdose, and that just wasn't true.
No, I thought so too. I thought that was the reason.
Well, so did Wendy Williams. But Corey kind of corrected it and was like, "This is actually it," and his mom says it in another video. I watched so many videos.
But I mean, how old was he? He was 38 or some shit.
Let's see, they were born...
He wasn't old enough for pneumonia to be a normal cause of death.
No, his body had been had, you know what I mean? Right. I think he even had an actual stroke due to the drug abuse. He was a mess. Right. So
we'll talk about drug abuse and why that might be true in a second up here.
So the early 2010s, Feldman does some work in Canada and a border security and show and a psych, that show. A lot of people tell me that's good too, but I've yet to see that yet.
I've never seen
psych
either one of those either.
Yeah.
That's a USA show, right?
I think so. I haven't had regular cable in so long. I don't have any idea.
I haven't, and I stream everything.
He did also a British Dancing on the Ice, but only made it to episode 4 before he got kicked off.
That's impressive as fuck. Dancing on the Ice?
Yeah.
Holy shit, I didn't know that was a thing.
Well.
Fuck America's Dancing with the Stars.
I want to see these.
You can break a fucking ankle.
Get out here and take a ice skate to the throat. 2000.
Well, is that what they do?
So that was
'Cause
extreme.
that's even better.
That was extreme. What was you don't like Will Ferrell, so never mind. There's like an ice
No,
skating
it's all right. We
movie.
can talk about Will Ferrell. I don't dislike Will Ferrell so much that I will not acknowledge his existence. But Elf sucked.
Now I can't
were you
remember
saying?
what it's called anyway, so it doesn't even matter. There was like an ice skating movie with him that was very funny. Classic Will Ferrell.
Blades of Thunder.
Oh yeah, good job.
Actually, I kind of like that one. That was kind of good.
It was funny to me too. So, 2013, he released his first memoir, Choreography, which detailed his early life all the way up to the death of his best friend, Corey Haim, talking about...
And it's all done in interpretive dance, choreography.
He feels things deeply, and he shows them like that as well. So in this book, he talks about his addiction and his experience with being a victim of Hollywood child abuse. So, yeah. Here's where things start getting extra interesting. If this wasn't wild enough. 2016, we get into Corey's Angels. So,
which I thought was a different thing when I started doing the research. I didn't realize it was a band name.
Yeah, I think it was both. I think they weren't all like that was also his band. He had like musicians that were Corey's Angels, but it was also like this management production-y kind of thing. You get a couple different how they describe it online when you click on Corey's Angels or you look any of that up, and how he describes it in a certain video clip that we will see or hear maybe.
I was thinking it was like a group of models that he hired.
Yeah, it sounds like it. But he says, well, I'll go over this part and then we can talk about
assassins. He talks to him through a radio and shit.
I put sexual messery. Because I like to make
sexual
up a good...
messery.
Yeah, messery. Like a real mess of it all. I like to make up words every once in a while.
I dug it. Good job.
So, thank you. Messery. So, he says he created this 360 management, development, and production entity to, quote, help girls who kind of were lost and needed to find their way. Quoted from Hollywood Reporter.
Oh. That sounds like that Nexium shit.
Yes, it does.
Doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Oh, wow.
And another thing I meant to make mention, this goes on some speculation too. During his wedding on That Surreal Life, there was a lot of video and chat with Hugh Hefner, who is possibly...
He compares himself to him too, and you'll hear him do it himself too.
So there must have been like a weird... there's more to it there, I feel like. I want to do a specific dig into Corey and Hefner as well, because I don't know, it's interesting. It's an interesting friendship.
Well, this being a part one, everybody, this is a part one.
Surprise!
We should have said that up top.
So yeah, Corey's Angels.
Corey's Angels, the messery.
The messery.
Compares himself to Hugh Hefner.
He does. And in the clip that you guys are going to get to hear, he's on a radio show,
Sway in the Morning.
Sway in the Morning. And he, at a certain point, says, I need some New York honeys. I need some angels. And it makes it very much seem like anyone who wants to get down with the get down and be Corey's angel, come on down. Like, I don't know.
I didn't think of it as a bullhorn either. You're right.
I feel like the way he described the parties was very clearly they're expensive. We will let a set amounts of tickets go to the public, but they're kind of invite only. And it's just a free place for women to dress in lingerie or be naked, however they're comfortable. And you're like, he's like, oh, so there's no like sex or drugs. And he's like, I ain't saying all that. You're like, wait, hold up.
Well, and he makes it seem it is okay. So the way he describes it is a clear step in a grooming, a traditional grooming process.
Yes.
He's normalizing,
much like he was,
sexuality. Yeah, he's normalizing sexuality as her free sexuality as an unexclusive sexuality as a way of life, and just something that anybody can enjoy. Although, notice he limits it to 100 men.
Yeah.
He limits the number of men, unlimited women, which, I mean...
Is it men only?
Like
is
that.
this a boys' club? I mean...
No. He specifically talks about women, but he does limit the men, which, I mean, of course, he's got to limit the men.
You want the ratios.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's a lot higher men, a lot more men interested than women.
Yeah. I take little side notes. Here's where I wrote the name of that song for everyone who wants to maybe have a moment to either laugh or be in shock. I don't know. The song is called Go.
Or enjoy. I'm sure it's lovely.
Or enjoy. This might be your jam, and that's okay. Go for it. Go for number 4. Go for it. Whew. I watched it on the Today Show. An exceptionally brutal take of it.
Who was hosting the Today Show?
The clip didn't say. It just went right into them playing. But the Angels were wearing the actual, like, very minimal. I'm not even sure what the logo is. It's like, looks like a wing, but there's like writing on it. You know, it reminds me of like the Akron rubber, you know, the shoe, Goodyear tires. The shoe with the wings. That's what it looks like. Like 3 of them. So
I'm picturing he took his design from Hooters.
It looked like, you know what it looked like if you ordered something that was like Victoria's Secret knockoff off Wish. That's what you would get. That's what they look like.
All right.
Wish's version of
properly
Victoria's...
trashy. Is that what you're saying?
Very pretty girls. Outfits little tacky, a little cheap. He's got enough money. He could have got them better, like wings. Something.
Or perfectly cheap, perfectly tacky.
Nope.
Who's to say?
I'm gonna say
like the song. You like the wardrobe. This might be your way of life now, people.
Yeah. I need you to watch it so you can not be at a loss of words with me. Like,
I don't need me to watch it.
I'm gonna send it to you anyways. If I watched,
thank you. If I gotta watch it, you gotta watch it.
Yeah,
bleach your eyes.
I'm just gonna make you pay for making me watch that movie.
Okay, fair enough. I will watch a 3-second or 3-minute song.
Long because I watched a 3-hour movie that was just kidding. Wasn't.
But it's American cinema classic. I don't even know if it's American. I think it might be British.
So yeah, Charlie's Angels, Corey's Angels, not Charlie's Angels. That just sounds so natural. It is.
So we're gonna play the clip here.
Yeah, I feel like I mentioned enough that probably wherever you want to play it.
Do you have more to say about it before we play the clip?
No. We go right into. This brings us into the documentary.
All right, so here is that clip.
I need new angels. I need some New York angels. No, not sex parties. Love parties. Charlie Sheen throws sex parties. I throw love parties. It's very, you know what? I throw these parties. Honestly, I throw parties that are called Corey's Angels parties. Okay, this whole album, you can see the angel. That's my first angel, Angel Courtney Ann. So much love out to Courtney. Okay, Angel Courtney. But anyway, we throw in this brand new company that I've created. We've got T-shirts, we've got jewelry, we got all that stuff coming. Okay, we got a whole line. Aside from that, we throw intimate events where people can come. They pay a very high premium because we never let in more than 100 guys. Yeah. But it's like the Playboy Mansion. It's the top of the line, most beautiful girls inside and out, wearing lingerie, feeling comfortable because they can run around naked if they want to.
Mhm.
That's up to them.
Mhm.
But it's about being open and free and beautiful. It's not about sex. It's not about nothing dirty. It's not about demoralizing women. It's about applauding and appreciating and respecting the beauty of women.
And we're back. All right. All right. So here, here's what psychologists have to say about that. About what he possibly suffered as a kid, and this response, the reason for this response. So adults who have experienced childhood abuse and neglect, particularly child sexual abuse, are more likely to engage in high-risk sexual behavior. This can lead to a wide range of sexually transmitted diseases or early pregnancy. Using a random population sample in Sweden, Steele and Hurlitz in 2005 found that a history of child sexual abuse was associated with a greater frequency of unintended pregnancy, younger age at first diagnosis of sexually transmitted disease, greater likelihood of participation in group sex, and a greater likelihood of engaging in prostitution. In a large retrospective study in the United States, the prevalence of sexually transmitted diseases was 3.5 times higher for men and women. For men and women who were exposed to 3 to 5 adverse childhood experiences compared to adults who had no childhood experiences. Steele and Hurlitz in 2005 determined that factors that may increase the likelihood of engaging in risky sexual behaviors include the inability to be assertive and prevent unwanted sexual advances, feeling unworthy, and having competing needs for affection and acceptance. These are feelings that may occur as a consequence of child abuse and neglect. This Corey's Angels, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Is smack dab in the middle of that analysis.
Yeah. Corey.
He's talking about so I also want to add that he's this risky group sexual behavior, he's monetizing it.
Yes.
And that that is a sick twist on how not only being abused as a developing person, but where and the lifestyle that he had when that was occurring. Like, I've never been to LA, but I've been to areas where the stereotype is in LA that everybody is there trying to use somebody and trying to get money out of it. And so if you can, it's the motto is "fuck you, pay me." That's what Ice-T says all the time. Yeah, and so not only is he feeding these sexual deviances, which is not a judgment at all. If you're a consenting adult, and if everybody's a consenting adult, and if you want to do that, let your freak flag fly.
Do that.
And if you have a freak fag, let him fly too.
Whatever.
I mean that with love. I absolutely do not mean that with any hostility, but I'm going to let that one slide. I hope I don't get dinged for it.
Ding.
Because I do not mean that with any hostility.
No.
Because we love everybody.
We love everybody.
And all of their sexualities. As long as they're consenting adult humans.
Yes. Consent. That's key here. 2 things I want to mention. One little one, maybe not so little. In April of 2018, he did get a Lifetime Achievement Award. I feel like that was worth mentioning. And
he's achieved a lot. I mean, you went through his numbers before.
Yes, I mean, it's impressive. No matter what, it's impressive. In 2018, also worth mentioning, he says he was attacked and stabbed, and he checked himself into the hospital where the police said there was no lacerations of any kind. Interesting. A little fearful.
It is interesting.
He does think he's kind of being hunted. Maybe not hunted to be like killed, but hunted to be scared enough to go on with his message is what he heavily insinuates in several Instagram videos and oodles of interviews with talk shows and radios. Much like the Wendy Williams show, where he kind of talks about that and his kind of irrational fears and having like double the security guard presence that Wendy Williams has for herself. He has like double for himself, but not just for himself, but his wife, both of his ex-wives, and his one child. That's intense. That's a lot of fear.
It's a lot of precaution. Thank God he has the money to do it, I guess, but it might be a waste. But anyway, here's that clip.
But there's double security here now because Corey has security for himself, his third wife, his son, and your ex-wives.
That's right.
Around the clock.
That's right.
Because
we're in danger.
You were stabbed?
And, well, I've been stabbed. I was almost run over by 2 trucks, which happened
muscle truck.
Yeah, big monster trucks with the giant bars of lights. And that happened literally the day after I went on YouTube and said, I'm going to do something about this. As soon as I said I'm going to do something about this, the next 3 days were crazy. That's all in the documentary, so you'll see how it played out.
So that was that clip. And here is what psychiatrist, I don't know which one is which actually, but anyway, one of the two or both have said about this. Persisting mental health problems are a common consequence of child abuse and neglect in adults. Mental health problems associated with past histories of child abuse and neglect include personality disorders, post-traumatic stress disorder, dissociative disorders, depression, anxiety disorders, and psychosis. Depression is one of the most commonly occurring consequences of past abuse or neglect. In an American representative study based on the National Comorbidity Survey, adults who had experienced child abuse were 2.5 times more likely to have major depression and 6 times more likely to have post-traumatic stress disorder compared to adults who have not experienced abuse. The likelihood of such consequences increased substantially if adults had experienced child abuse along with parental divorce. In a prospective longitudinal study in the United States, Wyndham Dumont and Chaja, I don't know his name, C-Z-A-J-A, Chaha, in 2007, found that children who were physically abused or experienced multiple types of abuse were at increased risk of lifetime major depressive disorder in early adulthood. Further to this, a large nationally representative study in the U.S. reported that those who had experienced child physical abuse were at a higher risk for a range of psychiatric disorders in adulthood than those not reporting such abuse. Disorders including, like I said before, in descending order of strength of association, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, bipolar disorder, panic disorder, drug abuse, nicotine dependence, generalized anxiety disorder, and major depressive disorder. The same study reported that many adults reporting child physical abuse also reported child sexual abuse and neglect, and importantly, the study found a dose-response relationship with those experiencing a higher frequency of abuse at higher risk of psychiatric disorder than those reporting lower frequency of abuse. So his description of the events that now require round the clock guarding is seems like it could absolutely be a symptom of abuse.
Yeah, for sure.
And also, I kind of flipped it. I'm sorry. We planned this before. I flipped what I was going to say about the next clip that we're going to talk about. Mm-hmm. And what you're going to talk about in the documentary, he's kind of how he describes what is going on is also the way that he seems to perceive the world and the way that he frames things are also symptoms of things such as bipolar disorder and panic disorder and generalized anxiety. But the whole panic in itself seems to, the panic disorder alone seems to be a cause for such a response from something that there may or may not be evidence for.
Yeah.
Physical evidence, that is.
That's what's... Oh, man. That's a bummer.
Yeah. So, yeah, please, take it away. What else?
So, yeah, the clip that you touched on, like we said, we both watched majority of the actual documentary.
It's called My, in parentheses, Truth,
Truth.
A Story of Two Coreys.
The Rape of Two Coreys.
No, it's the story of. I thought it was the rape. It's the story of two Coreys.
Is that why you couldn't find it?
Well, no, I did look at both. But anyway, it is about that. And yeah, like you said, we both watched it, and it's not an easy watch.
No,
it's worse than Excalibur. Hashtag Merlin Spear.
Nice one. Because this is heavy. Yeah.
We can't talk about Merlin right now. Not
I
good.
would rather, but yeah. This documentary, Feldman really feels like he needs to tell his best pal Corey Haim's story, and that he promised, him that, that the Corey would come to him. He's like, man, like, I want to put my story out there. Like, I want, justice, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, yeah, write a book, man. I'm writing one too. Like, we'll do it together. And he's like, no, I need you to do it. If something happens to me, if I die, you need to tell my story. And there, I have seen with my own eyeballs clips from the shows, the Two Corey show, and where he says, yeah, like, like my story, I've been, raped as a kid. And these clips are just constantly scrubbed off YouTube, and I don't know why. And
yeah. I went to try to get a clip of it earlier, and it's due to copyright. Corey Feldman owns it, and so he's not giving away
the movie. Yes, that I feel like is definitely being scrubbed because he wants people to pay the $20 for the one-time ticket. That was the other thing. This documentary, it was wasn't going to be done through the theater. It was done through a website. $20 a ticket, a one-time airing. It was going to air the same night that he did his kind of like Hollywood live showing kind of thing with different stars and whatnot. And that was a mess. And that made this really hard for people, extra hard for people, because there was a lot of people that were like,
the power went out and shit.
The power went out. Things wouldn't start. It wouldn't load. The server was down. And so they finally showed the movie to the crowd there, but it never went live on the website. And people are obviously mad because they spent $20 and they made all this money on something that wasn't. And he got up on stage and he started like screaming about, if I gotta burn a copy to DVDs individually and mail them to everybody, I will. This story needs so over dramatic. Like right?
The story needs to be out as long as you pay for it.
Yes, that was so troublesome to me. Like, I'm only gonna tell you this if I make 10 million. Like, what?
And so you're right, and like that is a problem throughout the entire thing. Corey Feldman is not a credible character.
No, and that's so unfortunate because I feel like he genuinely is trying to, like, you know what? This is my moment to hopefully drum, like he says it. Like, I hope that this starts just a bandwagon of people who have been abused by this person, these people. I was too, me too. Like, he wanted like a Me Too movement for himself is what it felt like.
Right. It did seem everything about this seemed very self-promotional. Like, at least it all seemed in that context.
Yeah.
Not to say that none of this is not true.
And that's that. Yes, because I believe wholeheartedly it is. That's my opinion. Wholeheartedly don't doubt it.
Exactly. And the thing is the very reason that he's not credible is evidence of all of this abuse.
Of his abuse. Yes. Yes. And that's hard because I have been looking into this for a while, and I was waiting myself for this documentary to come out, this tell-all. And he does name Charlie Sheen as the abuser of Corey Haim when they did the movie Lucas in graphic detail. But Charlie Sheen has come out and said that that's an assumption, a wild and wicked, or he had like a weird way he described it. He also,
but Charlie Sheen himself is not a credible character.
No, heavens no. And he also names Marty Weiss, who's a registered sex offender now, John Grissom, who is convicted child molester now, and Alfie Hoffman, who was the friend of the family that originally started grooming him. And he said, you know what, Corey, in another interview I watched, said, you know, he's like, I don't know that I was raped. I said yes. But he's like, but I was 13, so I didn't know any better. He, you know, told me, you know, this is what guys do. Like, do you want to do this? And I said yes. And I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, no matter what, that's a child. That's a child.
Oh, it's wrong.
It's wrong. I don't think there's consenting children. I just don't.
No, that's impossible.
It's trickery. Yeah. Oof. Yeah.
13 is too young.
Yeah.
18 is, in my opinion, now being an old fucking guy is too young, but it's not in.
I guess it is though.
This
particular group of fellas, Corey refers to the Wolf Pack numerous times in the videos and in the documentary. He is just sure that this is who is sabotaging him, and you know, these attacks on him, and like when he got quote unquote stabbed, he said he's been tried to been run over by like two like big monster trucks, not like monster monster trucks, but
what was that clip?
Oh yeah, the Wendy Williams clip. Yes. So he thinks it's these guys, and I don't doubt it for a second. When you have a lot of money and you want a secret, you do what you gotta do, I guess. I don't know. But
and the people that could that would be attacking, that would have motivation to attack him, also would have the power to get rid of physical evidence.
I really, really meant to check the flight logs, but wasn't Charlie Sheen on the Epstein flight logs?
I want to say I saw that he was, but I'm not sure.
I just think that the people in this wolf pack are involved more than just the Coreys. You know what I'm saying? It's an ongoing.
For sure.
Was ongoing.
I mean,
thing.
like we talked about before, it didn't start with Lolita Island. It didn't start with these kids either.
No.
It didn't even start with Ben Franklin when he was doing this shit.
Like the Old Testament. So
I mean, the Greeks, are famously boy fuckers.
Yes, they had those like
the Athenians, I should say.
The bath. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, ancient Athenians, not now, but maybe now. I don't really know.
Ooh, hard to say. Gross. So
hard to say. That's a horrible joke. Don't say that shit. That's why the fuck did you even say that? I can't believe you fucking said that. You're fucking disgusting.
I'm gonna smack you. So, man, I wanted to touch on too his friendship with Michael Jackson. That was interesting to me, and mainly interesting to me because he idolizes him enough that his entire wardrobe is heavily based off of his style.
Like even now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Satin pants with the gold trim down the side.
Wasn't he in a Pepsi commercial with him?
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe he was. Maybe he wasn't.
So
Alfonso Ribeiro was. It's not unusual to be loved by anyone.
So Corey says he was a friend of Michael Jackson's as a child, an older child, teenager, and he made him feel like a normal kid because he didn't have a childhood. He was robbed of his childhood, which he talks about a lot.
And so there's that movie. Let's touch on the movie real quick. Surviving Michael Jackson, where there's a lot of evidence against Michael Jackson about being a child abuser. But in fact, particularly of boys' butts. There's Corey Feldman, and I think Corey Haim talked highly of him, and Macaulay Culkin talks highly of him, and they were all boys around him and stuff. So I think it's my opinion that Michael Jackson did abuse boys, but never once that had any influence.
But
which is typical of sexual abusers.
I think we can also safely say that both the Coreys and McCulkin is a wackadoodle. All cringy fellas later in life.
Having not met them personally, yes, I agree.
Yeah. Man. So he said it made him feel like a normal kid. Bizarre. And then he says that right before
normal kids feel pretty, right? That's a joke that I shouldn't tell. I can't believe you. That's
twice now.
You're disgusting.
Twice now. So he says Michael cut him off after he got word from his inner circle that Corey might negatively portray him in his upcoming book. And Corey was so offended by this that he thought he was going to do this and just straight cut him off and said on September 11th that Michael Jackson had helped Marlon Brando, Elizabeth Taylor, and Liza Minnelli all get out of town but didn't help him, and that wrecked him. So much so that he wrote a song about it. Yeah.
Well, so let's put this in context though. Michael Jackson himself was under fire and had been for several years when that had happened. So it would make sense that if Corey Feldman is talking about a tell-all of little boy abusers, or selling a tell-all of little boy abusers, that Michael Jackson would also be included in that list, considering that he was already on everybody else's that list.
Yeah. So he wrote this song about it. Megaloman, another Corey classic. Look it up. He says,
do you know what that means?
No, I don't. Do you?
Megalomaniac is like a guy who thinks he's second coming.
Oh. Well.
Or person, not necessarily a guy or girl, but Hitler was a megalomaniac.
Oh, I see. Megaloman. It was interesting. Another weird Corey song. But he stood by.
Leader McConnell is a megalomaniac.
Thanks for coming up with all these examples.
Just so you know.
He, like you said, he defended him.
Oh, I couldn't think of his first name. Bitch is his first name. Bitch McConnell. Sorry. Couldn't think of it.
He defended all of his rape charges. Even, I thought this was worth making note of, going as far as saying on Dr. Oz show, on yet another interview I watched, that you want to know what I really think, they were trying to frame Michael Jackson and bury the Corey Feldman story. He just has a way of turning anything back around to himself.
Yeah. And he did that, and I don't think we pointed out, he did that in the documentary that he made himself Corey Haim's hero when telling the Corey Haim story. And that's kind of...
And it really did
He's got a bit of megalomania in himself.
Yeah, but I believe him. It's just so hard. If there wasn't all this other evidence, then it would be easier. But
not believing him, the reasons for not believing him is evidence. I just keep on coming back to that.
Yeah. It's
not like he's saying anything incredible. All of these things are absolutely possible. Over the years,
his story has been the same. He's not switching the scripts on what happened, who's being accused, when it happened, how it. It's the same story over the years through all the clips. So it is definitely his truth. Definitely his truth. Yeah. Wow. So I mean, something to be said. I put this at the end of my notes because I found it looking for something else. But going back to Corey's Angels, there is a video, if you dig deep enough, called "Is Corey Feldman a Rapist?" By one of the ex-Angels, Corey's Angels, Jackie Von Ruden. And she details explicitly drug use, still not that he is sober, but it's still happening. A lot of
that leads into the last part of my notes too.
Oh, cool. Group sex, parties, forced sex, and all by Feldman of kind of like an initiation for new angels. So that was kind of her tell all. Didn't seem super credible. The podcast that it was on, he seemed like a jerk too. So take it for what it is, but it was on there and it was interesting because he's had such a up and down. He's on.
But we know that that's a thing too with the whole Nexium story that came out.
Yeah,
with a TV star.
Yeah. Gross. It's also gross. It hurts my feelings. But yeah.
It's gross if they're not consenting adults, and I just want to point that out. I just don't want to shame.
No, the shame comes to anyone who's touching healthily. A child.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the only shame in this story.
Everything that's coming at you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that goes into your part because that's
yeah. So the last of the studies that I looked up say associations have often been made between childhood abuse and neglect, and later substance abuse in adulthood. In a systematic review of 224 studies, a strong relationship was found between childhood physical and sexual abuse and substance abuse problems in women. Less of an association was found among men, although men with child sexual abuse histories were found to be at greater risk for substance abuse problems. The authors suggest that it is possible that men are less likely to disclose childhood abuse due to social values and expectations. Not the case for Feldman. A recent meta-analysis of 124 studies of non-sexual child abuse and neglect reported that there was robust evidence of an association between these types of maltreatment and an increased risk of drug use. In the Adverse Childhood Experiences study in the United States, adults with 4 or more adverse experiences in childhood were 7 times more likely to consider themselves alcoholic, 5 times more likely to have used illicit drugs, and 10 times more likely to have injected drugs compared to adults with no adverse experiences. The higher rates of substance abuse problems among adult survivors of childhood abuse and neglect may, in part, be due to victims using substances to self-medicate from trauma symptoms such as anxiety, depression, and intrusive memories caused by an abusive history. So that's another symptom of abuse, giving more credibility to what he's saying from a not credible person because of his substance abuse, which is, it's a weird fucking catch-22. And not only is that, does the way that he's saying and his behavior make him not credible, then his accusers who are defending themselves uses that behavior as a defense, further victimizing and shaming the people that they victimized in the first place, and doing so publicly, victimizing them in the eyes, or not, sorry, shaming them in the eyes of the public, especially for somebody like him. So yeah, it just sucks all the way around for this guy. Like, not only does he not act normal for the rest of his life, because of these people use that as a defense for not necessarily their behavior, but to suppress his story.
Yeah.
Now, I'm glad that this website had this part, because it also, for me, it puts a finer point on Corey Feldman in particular. So this part is called research limitations. So most research studies on adult survivors are based on retrospective reporting of events and are therefore reliant on participants' recollection of events over long periods. This can limit the data in that participants' recollections. Participants' recollections may have changed over time. Prospective longitudinal studies have the advantage of tracing participants with reported experiences of child abuse or neglect over several years. However, prospective studies alone are not completely representative of the population, as a high proportion of child abuse and neglect goes undetected, and those experiencing abuse and neglect are less likely to participate or remain in a longitudinal study. Kendall Tackett and Becker Blease in 2004 argued that there should be a mix of prospective and retrospective studies, as both studies of research can provide insight into the long-term consequences of child abuse and neglect. Research investigating the effects of child abuse and neglect in adult is extensive. However, in most research studies, it is difficult to make causal links between abuse and neglect and adverse consequences due to several limitations, like I said before. Many research studies are unable to control for other environmental and social factors. That point in particular is a subgroup that Feldman is a subgroup under which Corey Feldman falls. This makes it difficult to rule out influences such as social economic disadvantage or advantage in his case, disability, and social isolation when associating abuse and neglect with negative consequences. So the fact that he was a child star and had access to money and power and a lot of bad things and a lot of good things at the same time that most people didn't, his abuse and the consequences thereof are even further distorted than normal people. So not only is he acting weird, he's not acting the same kind of weird that all of these other kids are acting that are that you can tell fall or have these exact symptoms. So that further makes him less credible. And even though he's not my energy, he's off-putting to me, I feel bad for him because he just continues to fall under these stigmas and this abuse and this problem. And he now, being a person of his wealth and influence, victimizes himself even further by publicly being not credible.
Yeah, I keep going back and forth on like, why does he feel the need, so much to forever turn it back around to him? And it's just him being victimized. Is all I can really. It's such a normal thing for him because it's been his entire life. So just now being able to kind of like fully speak your truth, like after
but
hinting
for the grace
around,
of God, go I.
I just
you're right.
And we didn't touch on Corey Haim's mom either, who was like, he's a liar. My son's not gay. My son.
And that's another thing. You're right, and and I believe Corey over her.
Yes,
because she also has motivation.
Yes,
I'm not sure she had a lot to do with it, but she has motivation to deny it.
Yeah. The guilt alone of putting your kid in that kind of a situation and it happening, that would be insane.
Not only happening, but like you're promoting it and trying, maybe turning a blind eye to a little weirdness that's going on. That you probably look back and should have.
Your kid was a grown ass man and trusting him without really knowing him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll give you money and let me have your kid for a little bit.
Yeah,
like now
I'll take him
hear that.
Because it wasn't like even just like for business. It was like Corey's. What was his name? The guy who was the Alfie guy. Whatever his last name was. He ended up moving
manager
across the street from them so he could come over and hang out and play anytime, or Corey's gonna stay for the weekend, or we're going to the cabin for the week. Like, it wasn't just manager meetings and we got to go to this place to film, or it was not good. It was not.
I've seen a
good.
couple of people post the same meme that says something about if we hang the pedophiles in the street now, they'll make good decorations by Halloween.
Too.
And that's not wrong. I mean, they'll be properly gory and like decayed by that time.
Yeah.
Problem is that they'll stink really bad if you just let them.
And werewolves
flies
and
and
buzzards
maggots and shit.
And yeah.
Did you say werewolves in that? Everything
Did
else
I?
was real. Bats and rats and buzzards, those are real. You said werewolf.
Did I?
There might be werewolves, I guess. That's possible. We had our cryptid episode. Go check that out. Hashtag Merlin's Beard.
Merlin's Beard.
Anyway, that's what I got on Corey Feldman,
Yeah.
and but we didn't touch on his accusations yet.
No. I mean, I named some names, but
right, but there's
much more to it, much more.
and so we'll in our next episode we'll continue this story, but we wanted to explain Feldman's perspective in this and give that background before we start talking about his accusations.
Yeah.
Because his accusations are, to somebody who is living 5 years ago, are insane.
So, yeah.
It's been a crazy fucking year.
It
Check out
has.
our year in review or half year in review.
Yes.
Hashtag Merlin's Beard.
With 17.3. What percent?
16.7 more female
There it
for
is.
more women. Yeah.
Listen to that one. Yeah. Corey, I hope you listen to this, and I hope you want to reach out and tell us your story firsthand on our podcast.
Again.
Maybe we'd get
I'm
more
gonna
out of
cut that
it
again out.
if it was to us directly.
Yeah. Anyway, anything you want to ask me?
Oh yeah. So if you have opinions on Corey or good music videos you want to share with us, where would you do that?
Guess what?
Huh.
We got a contact form on our website.
Oh.
Yeah, we updated our website. It's prettier now. We got our new logo up. We got a contact us tab. We got that contact form, so you can get us there. It sends it to our highermindspodcast@gmail.com email.
Yeah.
But if you don't like email or websiting, you can get a hold of us directly at
Websites.
Facebook or Instagram or
Twitter.
Twitter.
can listen to us
Where can you listen?
on
We need to.
Spotify
Well,
or iTunes.
yeah.
Or
You know, we have subscribers on iTunes.
We do.
We're like, yeah, people that actually listen every week.
I just
Thank
love
you,
that.
guys.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Makes me feel good.
and our numbers are going up. Thank
Yes,
you,
they are.
everybody.
That is fun. Thank you, friends.
We are very happy with that. We tell all your friends because, yeah, spread our joy, spread your joy.
Spread the information, the facts.
Tell them to write us or listen to us on iTunes or Spotify or at highermindspodcast.com
Yeah.
or
Really, the website's very inclusive. You can get any of these things we mentioned on our website.
yeah, you
So,
can.
Check it out.
Google us.
Google.
You'll see a picture of Katie and I
Mm-hmm.
podcasting our little hearts out.
As cartoons. Doesn't get
Yeah.
much more fun than that.
That's actually,
So-
in your mind, that's actually what I really look like. That's not a cartoon of me.
It's facts. It's on the internet. It's facts.
That's a photo.
That's exactly what I look like,
daguerreotype. This has been the Higher Minds Podcast.
I'm Katie.
I'm Papa Darby. And I'd like to close with the immortal words of Phil Collins. Jesus, he knows me, and he knows that I'm right. Deuces.
Bye-bye.